I'm coming. Hold on. Please hold on. Stay with me. Hey, stay with me. Stay with me.
Okay.
Don't let go. Don't let go. I'm right here. I'm coming. Hold on. Please hold on. Stay with me. Go. Don't let go. I'm right here. I'm coming. Hold.
Before we begin today's story, I want you to take a moment and think about the animals in your life. Maybe you have a dog curled up at your feet right now. Maybe a cat purring in your lap. Maybe you're thinking of a pet you lost years ago, but who still lives in your heart. This story is for you. This is not just a story about dogs. This is a story about promises we make, the bonds that never break, and the love that transcends even death. This is a story about sacrifice, loyalty, and what it truly means to be a family. Some of you listening right now might be going through difficult times. You might feel alone, forgotten, or lost. You might be carrying grief that feels too heavy to bear. But I promise you, by the end of this story, you'll understand that love always finds a way. That even in the darkest storms, there is always hope. That sometimes, the ones who save us have 4 legs and a tail. This really happened in a small town outside Portland, Oregon, just last year. It changed one woman's life forever. And it might change yours too. So please, stay with me until the end. Make yourself comfortable. And if this story touches your heart, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your words mean everything to us. And I read every single comment. Now, let's begin. The storm. It was a cold October evening in Oregon. The 23rd, to be exact. The kind of night where the wind doesn't just blow through the trees, it screams through them. Where the rain doesn't fall, it attacks. Horizontal, relentless, like the sky itself is angry. Drive. Sarah Mitchell stood in her small veterinary clinic, Riverside Animal Hospital, staring at the clock on the wall. The second hand ticked forward with agonizing slowness. 9:47 p.m. She was supposed to close at 8. But she had stayed late, as she always did these days. Not because there were patients waiting. Not because there was paperwork to finish. She stayed because going home meant facing the silence. Sarah was 35 years old. Divorced for 5 years. Childless. Well, not exactly childless. The truth was more complicated than that. More painful. Sarah walked to the window and watched the rain hammer against the glass. Lightning split the sky, illuminating the empty parking lot. She remembered another stormy night. 5 years and 3 months ago. She had been 6 months pregnant then. She and her husband Tom had already decorated the nursery. Pale yellow walls. A crib with a mobile of stars and moons. A rocking chair by the window where Sarah would sit and read to her belly. They had picked out a name. Emma Rose Mitchell. Sarah had felt her kick that afternoon. Strong kicks. Healthy kicks. She's going to be a soccer player, Tom had joked. That night, Sarah woke up with terrible pain. Sharp, stabbing pain that took her breath away. Tom drove her to the hospital, running red lights, his hands shaking on the steering wheel. By the time they got there, Emma's heartbeat was gone. The doctor said it was a placental abruption. Rare. Unpredictable. Nothing Sarah did wrong. But Sarah didn't believe that. How could she? Her body was supposed to protect her baby. And it had failed. Emma Rose Mitchell was born silent. 6 months and 2 weeks gestation. Too early to survive. Sarah held her for 2 hours. Memorized her tiny face. Her perfect little fingers. The wisp of dark hair. Then the nurse took her away. And Sarah's world ended. Tom tried to be supportive. He really did. He went to the grief counseling sessions. He held Sarah when she cried. He said all the right things. But Sarah could see it in his eyes. He wanted to move on. He wanted to try again. "We can have another baby," he said one night. 6 months after Emma died. Sarah looked at him like he was a stranger. Another baby? Emma wasn't a goldfish, Tom. We can't just replace her. That's not what I meant. Then what did you mean? The fights got worse. The silence between them got longer. 2 years after Emma died, Tom asked for a divorce. I can't do this anymore, Sarah. I can't watch you destroy yourself. Then don't watch, Sarah said coldly. The divorce was quick. No kids to fight over. They split the house equity 50-50. Tom kept the Seattle condo. Sarah took the furniture and her veterinary degree. She moved to this small town outside Portland. Population 8,000. 1 main street. 2 gas stations. A Dairy Queen that closed at 8. She bought a struggling veterinary practice from a retiring doctor and threw herself into work. 16-hour days. 7 days a week. No vacations. No social life. Animals don't judge you. Animals don't tell you to move on. Animals don't look at you with pity in their eyes. Animals just need you. And Sarah needed to be needed. She treated everything that came through her door. Dogs with broken legs. Cats with kidney disease. A rabbit with a tooth abscess. A chicken with a respiratory infection. Rich clients. Poor clients. Clients who couldn't pay at all. Sarah didn't care about the money. She cared about saving lives. Because every life she saved felt like penance. Like maybe, if she saved enough animals, it would somehow balance out the one life she couldn't save. Emma. Sarah shook her head, pushing the memories away. She walked back to her desk and started organizing supplies, alphabetizing bottles of medication, straightening the exam table, wiping down counters that were already clean. Anything to avoid going home to her empty apartment. At 955, Sarah finally gave up. She grabbed her raincoat and her keys. The rain was getting worse. The weather forecast had warned of flooding. The Willamette River was already high from weeks of rain. Sarah pulled on her coat, turned off the lights and walked toward the door. Her phone rang. She almost didn't answer. It was late. She was exhausted. But Sarah had a rule: always answer. Because you never know when it's an emergency. She picked up. Riverside Animal Hospital, this is Drive. Mitchell. Heavy breathing on the other end. Then a young male voice, panicked and breathless. Doctor. Oh my God, doctor, you have to come. Please. Sarah's heart rate spiked. Slow down. What's wrong? There are dogs. By the river. They're going to drown. The water's rising and they're trapped, and I don't know what to do. Sarah was already moving, grabbing her emergency medical kit from the supply closet. Where exactly are you? The old industrial park. Near the Willamette River. By the abandoned warehouses. I know it. Stay there. Keep them calm if you can. I'm on my way. Sarah ran to her truck, threw her kit in the passenger seat, and gunned the engine. The windshield wipers couldn't keep up with the rain. Lightning flashed overhead, followed by thunder that shook the truck. Sarah gripped the steering wheel, her knuckles white. She had been to that industrial park before. Years ago, when she first moved to town. She'd heard there was a homeless encampment there. She'd brought donated dog food and blankets. The area was dangerous. Flooding was common. No one should be living there, but the city didn't have enough shelter beds. Please, Sarah whispered to no one. Please let me get there in time. She pressed the accelerator harder, racing through the storm. Act 2: The Discovery. Sarah's truck skidded to a stop on the muddy access road near the industrial park. Through the sheets of rain, she could see a figure waving frantically. A young man, maybe 23 or 24, soaked to the bone. Sarah grabbed her medical bag and a thick emergency blanket, then jumped out into the storm. The rain hit her like a physical force. Within seconds, she was drenched. Doctor. Thank God. Over here. The young man's name was Tyler. He was a graduate student at Portland State, driving home from his night shift at a gas station when he heard barking. I almost didn't stop, Tyler shouted over the wind. But something made me pull over. And then I saw them. He led Sarah down a steep, muddy embankment. Sarah's boots slipped on the wet grass. She grabbed onto tree branches to keep from falling. They reached the bottom, near the river's edge. The Willamette River was usually calm, maybe 20 feet wide in this section. Tonight, it was a raging torrent, at least 50 feet across, churning with brown water and debris. Tyler's flashlight beam swept across the scene. There! Oh God, hurry! Sarah's breath caught in her throat. About 30 feet away, in what used to be a drainage canal, but was now rapidly filling with floodwater, she saw them. A large dog. A Labrador retriever, golden brown and soaking wet. He was standing in chest-deep water, his body braced against the current. In front of him, balanced precariously on a disintegrating cardboard box, were 4 small puppies. The dog was using his own body to hold the box up, keeping it above the rising water. His front paws gripped the edges of the box. His back legs were planted firmly in the mud below the water, fighting the current. The puppies were crying. High-pitched, desperate sounds. The dog's eyes locked onto Sarah's. And in that moment, Sarah understood. This dog was not going to let go. Not for anything. He would drown before he let those puppies fall into the water. Hold on, Sarah shouted. I'm coming. She handed her medical bag to Tyler. Stay here. When I hand you the puppies, get them to my truck immediately. Turn on the heat. Wrap them in the blanket. What about you? I'll get the dog. Sarah waded into the water. It was shockingly cold. The current was stronger than it looked. Sarah felt it pulling at her legs, trying to knock her off balance. She moved slowly, carefully, testing each step. The dog watched her approach. He growled low in his throat. A warning. It's okay, boy, Sarah said softly, calmly. I'm here to help. I promise. The dog's growl deepened. His body tensed. Sarah stopped, still 10 feet away. She understood. This dog had been protecting these puppies. Probably for a long time. He didn't know her. He didn't trust her. And right now, trust was everything. I know you're scared, Sarah said. I know you don't know me. But those babies need help. And you need help. You can't do this alone anymore. The dog's ears flicked forward, listening. You've been so strong. So brave. But it's okay now. You can let someone else help. You don't have to carry this alone. Sarah's voice cracked on the last word. She wasn't just talking to the dog anymore. She was talking to herself. How long had she been carrying her grief alone? How long had she refused help, refused comfort, refused to let anyone in? Please, Sarah whispered. Let me help you. She took one slow step forward. Then another. The dog stopped growling. Sarah reached out her hand, palm up, non-threatening. The dog sniffed it. His nose was cold and wet against her palm. Good boy. That's it. We're going to do this together, okay? Sarah moved carefully, positioned herself next to the dog, and lifted the box of puppies. They were heavier than she expected, waterlogged and squirming. Tyler. Catch. Tyler waded in waist-deep and took the box from Sarah's hands. Got them. Go, go, go. Tyler scrambled back up the embankment toward the truck. Sarah turned back to the dog. and watched in horror as his legs gave out. He collapsed into the water. No. No, no, no. Sarah lunged forward, grabbing the dog around the chest. He was huge, at least 80 pounds, and now deadweight. Sarah's feet slipped in the mud. She went down on one knee, water rushing past her waist. Help! Tyler! Tyler came sliding back down the embankment. Together, they dragged the dog out of the water. Sarah checked for a pulse. Found it. Weak, but there. He's alive? Help me get him up to the truck. It took both of them, straining and slipping in the mud, but they managed to carry the dog up to Sarah's truck. Sarah laid him gently in the cargo area, next to the box of puppies. The dog's eyes fluttered open. He lifted his head slightly, looking at the puppies. One of the puppies crawled over, nuzzled against the dog's wet fur, and whimpered. The dog let out a soft, exhausted sound, almost like a sigh of relief. Then his head dropped back down. Sarah quickly checked his vitals. Hypothermic. Exhausted. But alive. You did it, Sarah whispered to the dog. You kept them safe. You can rest now. She looked at Tyler. Thank you. You saved their lives. Tyler was shaking, from cold or adrenaline or both. Will they be okay? I don't know yet. But I'm going to do everything I can. Sarah jumped into the driver's seat and started the engine. As she drove away, she glanced in the rearview mirror. The drainage canal where the dog had been standing was now completely underwater. 30 seconds later, and they all would have been swept away. Something's wrong. Sarah worked through the night. First, the puppies. She dried each one carefully with warm towels, checking for injuries. They were about 2 months old. Eyes open, starting to walk on shaky legs. Underweight, but alert. She weighed them. All 4 were below the normal weight for their age. She checked their temperatures. All slightly low. She placed them in a heated incubator, gradually warming them. Too fast, and it could cause shock. The puppies huddled together, their tiny bodies trembling. But after a few minutes in the warmth, they started to calm down. Sarah prepared puppy formula and fed them one by one with a bottle. They drank eagerly, desperately. When's the last time you ate? Sarah murmured. Once the puppies were stable and sleeping, Sarah turned to the big dog. He was still unconscious, lying on the heated blanket Sarah had placed on the exam table. Sarah worked methodically, the way she'd been trained. Check airway. Clear. Check breathing. Shallow, but steady. Check circulation. Pulse weak but regular. She used clippers to trim away the matted, muddy fur so she could examine his body properly. That's when she started finding the scars. Old scars. Lots of them. A long, jagged scar across his left shoulder. Looked like he'd been cut by something sharp. Multiple small scars on his legs and paws. From walking on rough surfaces. Concrete. Gravel. Asphalt. Scars on his muzzle. From what? Fighting. Abuse. And then, on his chest, partially hidden by fur, Sarah found something that made her stop. A round, puckered scar. About the size of a dime. A bullet wound. Old. Fully healed. Maybe 5 or 6 years old. Oh my God, Sarah whispered. What happened to you? She continued her examination. The dog was severely malnourished. His ribs were visible. His hip bones protruded. Sarah estimated his age at 8 or 9 years old. For a Labrador, that was getting old. She started on 4-line, giving him fluids and electrolytes. She wrapped him in heated blankets. As she worked, she noticed something around the dog's neck, hidden under the matted fur. A collar. Old cracked leather, barely holding together. Sarah carefully removed it. Attached to the collar was a metal tag. Sarah cleaned it under running water, scrubbing away the mud and grime. As the letters became visible, Sarah's heart sank. Jack. Service dog, U.S. Army. If found, contact VA Hospital Portland. Handler Sergeant William Chen. Sarah stared at the tag for a long moment. A military service dog. Which meant somewhere there was a veteran who had lost his service dog. Or Sarah looked at Jack, lying so still on her exam table. Or maybe the veteran was gone and Jack was alone. Sarah picked up her phone and photographed the tag. She'd call the VA in the morning. For now, Jack needed rest, and warmth, and safety. Sarah settled him in a large kennel with soft bedding, positioned where she could see him from her office. She set up a baby monitor, so she'd hear if he woke up or if his breathing changed. Then she collapsed on the couch in her office, fully clothed, too exhausted to drive home. But sleep wouldn't come. Sarah kept thinking about Jack, standing in that freezing water, refusing to let go of those puppies. A thought occurred to her. Jack was male. He couldn't have given birth to those puppies. So whose puppies were they? Sarah got up and took blood samples from Jack and all 4 puppies. She'd send them to the lab first thing in the morning for DNA testing. Then she lay back down, watching Jack's kennel through the darkness. His eyes were closed, but every few minutes his ears would twitch, listening for the puppies. Even in sleep, he was on guard. "Who did you promise?" Sarah whispered. "Who are you protecting them for?" Searching for answers. The next morning, Sarah woke to her phone buzzing. She'd fallen asleep on the office couch, still in her damp clothes from the night before. She grabbed her phone. An email from the lab. DNA results urgent. Sarah sat up, her heart pounding. She opened the attachment. Canine DNA analysis report. Sample 1 adult male, Jack Labrador Retriever, purebred. Samples 2 to 5 puppies 1 to 4 mixed breed. Genetic markers indicate Beagle Terrier mix. Relationship analysis: no biological relationship detected. Conclusion: adult male is not the father of the puppies. No shared genetic markers indicating family relationship. Sarah read the report twice. Jack wasn't the father. He wasn't even related to them. So why had he been protecting them so fiercely? Sarah walked over to Jack's kennel. He was awake now, sitting up, watching the incubator where the puppies slept. "Jack," Sarah said softly. "Whose puppies are these?" Jack's ears perked up at his name. He looked at Sarah with intelligent, sad eyes. Sarah made a decision. She needed to go back to where she found him. Maybe there were answers there. She left her assistant, Maria, in charge of the clinic with strict instructions to call if anything changed with Jack or the puppies. Then she drove back to the industrial park. In daylight, the area looked even more desolate. Abandoned warehouses with broken windows, rusted machinery, graffiti-covered walls. The river had receded overnight, but the ground was still muddy, covered in debris from the flood. Sarah walked carefully, following the path she'd taken the night before. She found the drainage canal, now just a trickle of water. She looked around. Where had Jack come from? Sarah noticed a muddy trail leading away from the canal, heading deeper into the industrial park. She followed it. The trail led to an area under a highway overpass, a common spot for homeless encampments, sheltered from rain but not from wind. Sarah found the remnants of a camp. A torn blue tarp, flapping in the wind. A sleeping bag, muddy and wet. An old military-style backpack, half buried in mud. Sarah's heart ached. Someone had lived here. Someone with so little, but they'd made a home. She carefully picked up the backpack. It was heavy. She opened it. Inside, wrapped in a plastic bag to keep them dry, were a faded photograph of a young man in army uniform, smiling broadly, holding a golden puppy. Another photo, more recent, showing the same man, much thinner, grayer, with a fully grown golden Labrador, and a small brown mixed breed dog. A worn paperback book, The Things They Carried by Tim O'Brien. An empty prescription bottle, William Chen, sertraline 100 milligrams, for PTSD. A notebook with a battered cover. Sarah sat down on a dry patch of concrete and opened the notebook. The first page, in neat handwriting. William Chen, Personal Journal. If you're reading this and I'm gone, please take care of Jack and Daisy. They saved my life. Please don't let them die alone. Sarah's hands trembled as she turned the page. William's story. Sarah sat under that overpass for 3 hours, reading William's journal from beginning to end. It was nearly 200 pages. 10 years of a man's life, recorded in ink that had faded and smudged in places from water damage or tears. This is what Sarah learned. March 15, 2014. I'm home. Everyone keeps saying that. Welcome home, soldier. Thank God you're home safe. But I don't feel home. I don't feel safe. I don't feel anything except this weight in my chest. Like someone's sitting on me, all the time, making it hard to breathe. The doctors at Walter Reed said I have PTSD. Post-traumatic stress disorder. They gave me pills. Sertraline, Prazosin, something else I can't pronounce. They said it'll get better. But how can it get better when every time I close my eyes, I'm back there? Back in Kandahar. Back in that village. Back in that moment when everything went wrong. April 3, 2014. I can't talk to Maria about it. That's my wife. Was my wife. I don't know anymore. She tries. She really does. She asks me how I'm feeling. She listens when I talk. But I can see it in her eyes. She doesn't understand. How could she? She wasn't there when Ricky stepped on that hide. When I heard the explosion. When I ran over and found pieces. Ricky was 22. From Texas. He had a girlfriend named Ashley. They were going to get married when he got home. He showed me her picture every day. Isn't she beautiful, Chen? Prettiest girl in Dallas. I had to bag what was left of him. How do I tell Maria that? How do I tell her that I can still smell it? That I wake up at 3 a.m. every night, drenched in sweat, thinking I'm back there? I can't. So I don't. And the distance between us grows a little more each day. June 8, 2014. I lost my job today. It was a good job too. Construction foreman. Good pay. Benefits. But I had a panic attack on site. Someone dropped a metal beam. The sound. It sounded like an explosion. I hit the ground. Covered my head. Started yelling for my squad to take cover. When I came back to myself, everyone was staring at me. My boss pulled me aside. William, I like you. But I can't have this on my site. It's a safety issue. He was right. I'm a safety issue. July 20th, 2014. I tried to kill myself today. I drove to the bridge over the Columbia River. Parked. Walked to the railing. I looked down at the water. It was a long drop. I thought about Ricky. About Martinez. About all the guys who didn't make it home. Why did I live when they died? I put one leg over the railing. Then my phone rang. It was Emma. My daughter. She's 7. Daddy. Are you coming to my dance recital tomorrow? I'd forgotten about it. Yeah, baby. I'll be there. Promise. I promise. I climbed back over the railing. Went home. Maria wouldn't look at me at dinner. She knew. Somehow, she knew where I'd been. Emma performed her dance the next day. She was a butterfly. She looked so happy. I clapped and smiled. But inside, I felt nothing. October 12, 2014. Maria asked for a divorce today. I don't blame her. She said, I can't watch you do this anymore, William. I can't watch you disappear. I'm trying, I said. I know you are. But it's not enough. I have to think about Emma. She's scared of you now. Did you know that? I didn't. But hearing it broke something in me. She heard you screaming in your sleep last week. She came to your room and you didn't recognize her. You thought she was someone else. You pushed her away. I don't remember that. I don't remember a lot of things anymore. Maria's right. Emma deserves better. They both do. December 1st, 2014. The divorce is final. Maria got the house. She got Emma. She got everything. I didn't fight it. I see Emma every other weekend. Supervised visits, because apparently I'm a danger to my own daughter. I'm living in my car now. A 2003 Honda Civic with 180,000 miles on it. I go to the VA for appointments, but the waiting list for therapy is 6 months. 6 months. I don't think I'll last 6 months. January 8, 2015. Today, I met Jack. I was parked by the Willamette River, drinking cheap whiskey from a bottle, trying to work up the courage to drive into the river. That's when I heard it. A whimpering sound. I got out of the car. Followed the sound. Behind a dumpster, I found a cardboard box. Inside was a puppy. Golden Labrador. Maybe 12 weeks old. He was soaking wet, shivering, covered in fleas. Someone had written on the box free. Can't keep. I picked him up. He was so small. He fit in one hand. He looked at me with these big brown eyes. And then he licked my face. And for the first time in months, I felt something other than numbness. I felt angry. How could someone do this? How could someone throw away a living creature like garbage? I took him to a vet with the last $40 I had. The vet said he'd live, but he needed shots, medicine, food. I didn't have money for any of that. But I couldn't leave him. I named him Jack. After my friend who died. Jack Rodriguez. Jack never made it home. But maybe I can save this Jack. February 14, 2015. Jack is getting bigger. He's up to 30 pounds now. I spent my last money on dog food. I'm eating at soup kitchens, but Jack eats real food. I'm living under a bridge now. The car broke down and I couldn't afford to fix it. But Jack doesn't care. He curls up next to me at night, keeps me warm. When I have nightmares, Jack wakes me up. He licks my face, whines until I come back to reality. He's the only reason I'm still here. March 22, 2015. Something amazing happened today. I was having a panic attack. Bad one. Felt like I was dying. Couldn't breathe. Jack climbed onto my chest. All 40 pounds of him. He pressed his body against mine. And somehow, feeling his weight, feeling his heart beating, it grounded me. I focused on him. On his breathing. I matched my breathing to his. Slowly, the panic faded. Jack didn't leave my chest until I was completely calm. He knew. Somehow, he knew what I needed. June 10, 2015. I took Jack to the VA today. A volunteer there said he could be a service dog. She explained that service dogs can be trained to help veterans with PTSD. They can sense panic attacks before they happen. They can wake you from nightmares. They can create physical barriers in crowds. But official training costs thousands of dollars. I don't have thousands of dollars. But Jack is already doing all those things. Without any training. The volunteer gave me a vest for him. Service dog in training, it says. It's not official. But it means people won't bother us. And Jack seems to understand his job now. When we're in crowds and I start to feel anxious, Jack moves in front of me. He won't let anyone get too close. When I wake up screaming, Jack is there within seconds, licking my face, grounding me. He's not just a dog. He's my lifeline. August 3, 2016. I've been homeless for 2 years now. I've gotten used to it. You get used to anything eventually. I know where the soup kitchens are, where the shelters are, where the police won't hassle you. Jack and I have a routine. We walk to the park every morning. I look for aluminum cans to recycle. Jack chases squirrels. People give us food sometimes. Dog food for Jack. Sandwiches for me. One lady, Mrs. Patterson, she's old, lives in a big house near the park. She leaves a bowl of water out for Jack every day. Sometimes she leaves food too. She doesn't talk to me much, but she always pets Jack. You're a good boy, she tells him. Taking care of your dad. That's what Jack does. He takes care of me. I should be taking care of him. But somehow, it's the other way around. September 19, 2019. Today I met Daisy. I was walking along the train tracks, looking for a quiet place to sleep. I saw something small, brown, limping. It was a dog. Tiny. Mixed breed. Maybe beagle and terrier. She was covered in mud, bleeding from a cut on her leg. When I got close, she cowered. Whimpered. Someone had hurt her. Recently. I knelt down. Held out my hand. It's okay, I said. I'm not going to hurt you. She sniffed my hand. Slowly, carefully. Then Jack walked over. He sniffed her too. And then Jack did something amazing. He lay down next to her. Gentle. Calm. The little dog looked at Jack. Then at me. And slowly she stopped shaking. I picked her up. She fit in the crook of my arm. You need a name, I said. She had a brown spot on her head shaped like a flower. Daisy. I'll call you Daisy. I took her to the free clinic. They stitched her leg. No charge. Daisy came home with us. October 1st, 2019. Daisy is terrified of everything. Loud noises. Sudden movements. Men's voices. But she's not scared of Jack. Jack has adopted her. That's the only way to describe it. He sleeps next to her. He shares his food with her. He walks beside her, protective. When other dogs get too close, Jack steps between them and Daisy. Watching them, I understand something. Family isn't about blood. Jack isn't related to Daisy. He barely knows her. But he chose her. He chose to protect her. Just like he chose me. December 25th, 2019. Christmas. Maria sent me a card. There's a picture of Emma. She's 12 now. She looks so grown up. The card says Emma wants to see me. Maria included her phone number. Call me. We should talk. I stare at the card for hours. I want to call. I want to see my daughter. But what would I say to her? Sorry I fell apart. Sorry I scared you. I put the card in my backpack. Maybe someday I'll be strong enough to call. But not today. Today, I have Jack and Daisy. We share a can of beans. Jack gets the biggest portion. It's not much of a Christmas. But it's not nothing either. Dash. April 2nd, 2020. The world is ending. Well, not really. But it feels like it. There's a pandemic. COVID-19. Everything's shut down. The homeless camps are more crowded than ever. People who lost their jobs, lost their homes. But people help each other. We share food, blankets, information. Jack and Daisy are loved by everyone in the camp. Kids from nearby neighborhoods bring dog food. For the dogs, they say, not looking at me. I don't care. Jack and Daisy eat. Dash. June 15th, 2023. 3 years later. I'm still here. Still alive. I don't know how. Most days, I don't want to be. But then Jack looks at me with those eyes. And Daisy curls up on my lap. And I keep going. One more day. And then another. And another. Dash. August 1st, 2024. Daisy is pregnant. I don't know how it happened. Maybe one of the other dogs in the camp. She's getting bigger every day. Jack has been incredibly protective. He won't let any other dogs near her. I'm worried. I don't have money for a vet. But Jack seems calm. And when Jack is calm, I trust him. Dash. August 15th, 2024. Daisy had her puppies today. 4 of them. Tiny. Pink. Eyes closed. The birth was hard. Daisy was in pain. There was a lot of blood. I did what I could. But I'm not a vet. Jack stayed by her side the entire time. He licked her face. He comforted her. The puppies started nursing. Daisy seemed happy. But something was wrong. I could see it. Daisy was bleeding too much. Dash. August 16th, 2024. Daisy died this morning. I held her in my arms. She looked at me one last time. Then at Jack. Then at her babies. And then she was gone. I buried her behind the camp. I used my hands to dig the hole. I made a cross from branches. I carved her name with my knife. Jack won't leave her grave. He lies there crying. A sound I've never heard from him before. I don't know how to help him. I don't know how to help myself. The puppies are crying. They're hungry. I bought milk formula with the last money I had. I'm trying to feed them. But it's hard. Dash. August 17th, 2024. Jack came back from Daisy's grave today. He walked over to the puppies. He sniffed them, licked them, and then he lay down next to them. The puppies crawled all over him. They tried to nurse from him. Jack can't nurse them. He's male, but he lets them try. And when they cry, he licks them, comforts them. I understand. Jack loved Daisy. And these are Daisy's babies. So Jack will love them too. He's made a promise. Dash. August 30th, 2024. My heart hurts. Not emotionally. Physically. Sharp pains in my chest. Hard to breathe. I went to the free clinic. They said I need to see a cardiologist. I asked how long the wait was. 4 to 6 months, they said. I laughed. I don't have 4 to 6 months. Dash. September 5th, 2024. I talk to Jack every night now. I tell him, Jack, if something happens to me, you take care of them. You hear me? You take care of Daisy's babies. Jack looks at me with those eyes. He understands. He always understands. Dash. September 14th, 2024. My chest hurts so bad I can barely move. The puppies are getting bigger. They're starting to walk. They're so beautiful. Jack watches them all the time. He's so gentle with them. I'm writing this because I know I'm dying. I can feel it. Jack, if you can somehow read this, if you can understand. Thank you. Thank you for saving me all those years ago. Thank you for giving me a reason to live. Now I need you to do one more thing. Take care of them. Please. I trust you. I love you. Dash. That was the last entry. Sarah closed the journal, tears streaming down her face. She looked at the date. September 14th. 5 weeks ago. She pulled out her phone and called the VA hospital. Portland VA, how may I direct your call? Hi, I'm Drive. Sarah Mitchell. I'm a veterinarian. I found a service dog with the tag registered to your hospital. The handler was William Chen. A pause. One moment, please. Sarah waited. A different voice came on. Older. Male. This is Drive. Garcia. I was Sergeant Chen's psychiatrist. You said you found his dog. Yes. Jack. He's at my clinic. Another pause. Sergeant Chen passed away 5 weeks ago. Heart attack. He was found by the river. We handled his cremation. No next of kin claimed his remains. Sarah's throat tightened. What about the dog? We didn't know about the dog. Animal control wasn't notified. He's been alone for 5 weeks. Protecting 4 puppies. Silence on the other end. Then that sounds like something Jack would do. And something William would have asked him to do. You knew them. I saw William for 3 years. Every month. He never missed an appointment. And he always brought Jack. That dog. He saved William's life more times than I can count. Sarah's vision blurred with tears. William wrote in his journal that Jack was his lifeline. He was. William tried to kill himself twice before he found Jack. After Jack, he never tried again. That dog gave him a purpose. Sarah looked at the photos in William's backpack. There's a little girl in one of the photos. His daughter, Emma. William's biggest regret was losing contact with her. He was too ashamed of being homeless to reach out. Did she know he died? We tried to contact his ex-wife. She didn't respond. Sarah felt a surge of anger. So he died alone. And no one cared. Drive. Garcia's voice was sad. Unfortunately, that's the story for too many of our veterans. Sarah thanked him and hung up. She sat under that overpass, surrounded by the remnants of William's life, and cried. For William. For Jack. For Daisy. For all the broken people and animals trying to survive in a world that had forgotten them. Dash. Daisy's fate. Sarah gathered William's belongings carefully. The photos. The journal. The book. She put them all back in the backpack. Then she walked around the camp area, looking for anything else. Behind a pile of debris she found it. A small mound of earth, fresher than the surrounding ground. And a cross made from 2 branches, tied together with shoelaces. Carved into the wood with a knife, uneven but readable. Daisy. A true friend. 2024. Sarah knelt beside the grave. Daisy, she whispered. I'm sorry I never got to meet you. She placed her hand on the earth. Your babies are safe. Jack made sure of it. And I promise I'll take care of them all. An elderly man approached, pushing a shopping cart. You knew them? He asked. Sarah looked up. Did you? The man nodded. He had a weathered face, kind eyes. He introduced himself as Robert. Robert had been homeless for 15 years. He knew everyone in the camps. William was a good man, Robert said. Quiet. Kept to himself mostly. But he loved those dogs. What happened? Sarah asked. Robert sat down on an overturned crate. Daisy had those puppies about 2 months ago. Middle of August. William was so happy. He came and showed them to everyone. Tiny little things. But the birth was hard on Daisy. She was a small dog. The puppies were too big for her. She died the next day. William was destroyed. I watched him dig that grave with his bare hands. Took him hours. He was crying the whole time. He made that cross. Carved her name. Then he just sat there for the rest of the day, not moving. Robert looked at the grave. After that, William took care of those puppies like they were his own children. He spent every penny he had on milk formula. He didn't eat for days, but those puppies never missed a feeding. And Jack was incredible. He stayed with those puppies every second. He'd lie down and let them crawl all over him. He'd clean them with his tongue. He'd keep them warm. William would talk to Jack every night. I'd hear him from my tent. He'd say, "Jack, you have to remember. If I'm not here, you take care of them. You promise me, Jack. Promise me." And Jack would put his paw on William's hand, like he was making a vow. Robert wiped his eyes. Then, 5 weeks ago, William collapsed. Right by the river. It was early morning. Jack was with him. The sound Jack made. I'll never forget it. He howled. This long, mournful sound. We called 911. The paramedics came. They worked on William for a long time. But it was too late. They took William's body away. And Jack tried to follow the ambulance. He ran after it, barking. But it drove away. Jack stood in the road, watching it disappear. Then he turned around and went straight to those puppies. Robert shook his head in amazement. For 5 weeks, Jack has protected them. He found food somehow. Scraps from dumpsters. Food people left out. He'd eat a little, then bring the rest back to the puppies. He kept them warm. When it rained, he'd cover them with his body. A few of us tried to help. We'd leave food. But Jack didn't trust us. He'd take the food but wouldn't let us near the puppies. Last week, the weather got bad. We knew a storm was coming. We tried to get Jack to come to the shelter, but he wouldn't leave the puppies. And then yesterday, the river started to flood. I went looking for them, but I couldn't find them. I thought they were gone. Robert looked at Sarah. But you found them. Yes, Sarah said. Just in time. Robert smiled. William would be so grateful. Sarah stood up, brushing dirt from her knees. William wrote in his journal that Jack saved his life. But Jack was trying to save Daisy's puppies because William asked him to. Robert nodded. That's what love is. Keeping promises to people who are gone. Sarah drove back to her clinic in silence, William's backpack on the passenger seat. When she walked in, her assistant Maria was feeding the puppies. How are they? Sarah asked. Good. They're eating well. And look, Jack has been watching them from his kennel. He won't eat until he sees them fed first. Sarah walked over to Jack's kennel. Jack stood up, tail wagging slightly. Sarah opened the kennel door and knelt down. Jack, she said softly. I know the whole story now. I know about William. I know about Daisy. I know what you promised. Jack's ears perked forward. You kept your promise, Jack. William would be so proud of you. Sarah pulled out William's journal and opened it to the last page. She read aloud. Jack, if you can somehow read this, if you can understand, thank you. Thank you for saving me all those years ago. Thank you for giving me a reason to live. Now I need you to do one more thing. Take care of them. Please. I trust you. I love you. Jack's tail stopped wagging. He stared at Sarah with intense, focused eyes. Sarah closed the journal. You did it, Jack. You took care of them. Even when you were alone. Even when you were starving. Even when the flood came. But you don't have to do it alone anymore. I'm here now. And I promise I will take care of you and Daisy's babies. You can rest now, Jack. The watch is over. Sarah reached out and touched Jack's head. And for the first time since William died, Jack leaned into a human's touch. Not because he needed comfort, but because he trusted Jack's promise. Over the next week, Sarah learned just how deep Jack's devotion went. Jack wouldn't eat until Sarah fed the puppies first. Jack wouldn't sleep until all 4 puppies were asleep. Jack wouldn't leave the clinic, even when Sarah opened the door to let him outside. He'd walk to the door, look outside, then look back at the puppies and return to his spot beside their pen. Sarah's assistant Maria was amazed. I've never seen anything like this. He's not their father. He's not even their species, really. But he acts like they're his responsibility. Sarah understood. It's not about biology. It's about promise. William asked him to take care of them. So Jack will. For the rest of his life if he has to. One evening, Sarah was working late when she heard a sound from the puppy pen. One of the puppies had climbed out and was wandering around, squeaking. Before Sarah could move, Jack was there. He gently picked up the puppy by the scruff of its neck, the way a mother dog would, and placed it back in the pen. Then he lay down in front of the pen entrance, blocking it. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. "You're the most loyal soul I've ever met," she whispered. That night, Sarah made a decision. She wasn't going to look for homes for these puppies. Not yet. She needed to understand them first. She needed to make sure they went to homes that would cherish them the way William cherished Jack and Daisy. And she needed Jack to heal first, because Jack was still grieving. Sarah could see it in his eyes. The sadness, the confusion. William had been his entire world, and William was gone. Sarah started spending her evenings at the clinic, just sitting with Jack. She didn't try to pet him too much. She didn't force affection. She just sat nearby and talked to him. She told him about her day, about her patients, about funny things that happened. And slowly, Jack started to relax around her. One night, 2 weeks after Sarah found him, Jack did something unexpected. Sarah was sitting on the floor, reading William's journal again, when Jack walked over and laid his head in her lap. Sarah froze. Jack. Jack looked up at her with those deep brown eyes. And Sarah understood. Jack was giving her his trust. She placed her hand on his head, gently stroking his ears. "Thank you," she whispered. "I won't let you down." Life and death. 3 weeks after Sarah found Jack and the puppies, disaster struck. The smallest puppy, the little female, stopped eating. Sarah noticed it immediately. While her 3 siblings were gaining weight, getting stronger, this little one was getting weaker. Sarah examined her. No obvious injuries. No signs of infection. But her breathing was labored. Her temperature was elevated. Sarah ran tests. Pneumonia. Severe. "No," Sarah whispered. "Not now. Not after everything." She started aggressive treatment. Antibiotics. Oxygen. 4 fluids. Jack knew something was wrong. He refused to leave the puppy's side. Sarah worked through the night. But the puppy kept getting worse. By 3 a.m., Sarah was exhausted, scared, and starting to despair. She sat on the floor next to the puppy's incubator, watching her struggle to breathe. Jack lay beside Sarah, his head on his paws. Sarah started to cry. "I can't lose her. I can't. William trusted you, you trusted me, and I can't." And then the tears came harder. Because this wasn't just about the puppy. This was about Emma, her baby girl. Sarah had been 6 months pregnant. Everything was fine. And then, in one night, everything changed. She remembered holding Emma's tiny body. So perfect. So still. The doctors said there was nothing Sarah could have done. But Sarah never believed them. She should have known something was wrong. She should have gone to the hospital earlier. She should have. I'm sorry, Sarah sobbed. I'm so sorry, Emma. I failed you. She put her head in her hands. And then she felt something warm and solid against her. Jack. He had moved closer. He pressed his body against Sarah's side. Sarah looked at him through her tears. Jack was looking at her with those eyes that had seen so much pain, so much loss, but also so much love. Jack put his head in Sarah's lap, and Sarah wrapped her arms around him and cried into his fur. They stayed like that for a long time. Finally, Sarah's breathing steadied. She looked at Jack. You're right, she said. William didn't give up on you. You didn't give up on these puppies. And I won't give up on her. Sarah wiped her tears, stood up, and got back to work. She adjusted the medications. She increased the oxygen. She hand-fed the puppy with a syringe every 30 minutes. Jack stayed by her side the entire time. When Sarah's hands shook from exhaustion, Jack would nudge her leg as if saying, "Keep going." At dawn, Sarah checked the puppy's vitals. Her breathing was improving. By noon, she was drinking formula on her own. By evening, she was squeaking and trying to climb out of the incubator. Sarah picked her up, held her close, and laughed through her tears. You made it. You're going to be okay. Jack walked over, sniffed the puppy, and gently licked her head. The puppy yipped happily and tried to climb on Jack's back. Sarah watched them, and something inside her shifted. For 5 years, she had been carrying the weight of Emma's death like a stone in her chest. She had convinced herself that she had failed, that she didn't deserve to be happy, that she would never be a mother. But here, now, saving this puppy's life, she realized something. She couldn't save Emma, but she could save this little life. And that mattered. That meant something. Sarah looked at Jack. Thank you, she said. You saved me too. Jack wagged his tail. Just once. But it was enough. New beginnings. Over the next month, the puppies grew strong and healthy. Sarah posted their story on social media. Found 4 puppies and their guardian, Jack. Looking for loving homes. She included photos. The puppies playing. Jack watching over them. William's journal entry about promising Jack to take care of them. The response was overwhelming. Thousands of shares. Hundreds of applications. But Sarah was careful. She interviewed every potential adopter personally. She needed to know these puppies would go to families who understood what they represented. They weren't just puppies. They were William's legacy. Daisy's children. Jack's promise. A retired veteran named Marcus came to meet the puppies. He was 45, quiet, walked with a limp. I heard about William, he said. I served in Afghanistan too. Different unit, different time. But I know what he went through. Marcus knelt down, and the puppies swarmed him. He laughed. A genuine, joyful sound. I've been thinking about getting a dog. For the PTSD, you know. But I wanted it to mean something. Sarah watched Jack. Jack walked over to Marcus, sniffed him, then sat down beside him. Marcus looked surprised. He's friendly. Jack doesn't trust easily, Sarah said. If he's okay with you, that means something. Marcus adopted the biggest puppy, a male. He named him Billy, after William. A teacher named Rachel came next. Young, energetic, full of love. She adopted a female puppy and named her Daisy, in honor of their mother. A family with 2 kids adopted the 3rd puppy. The kids were gentle, patient. They named him Hero. And the smallest puppy, the one who nearly died, the one Sarah spent that long night saving, Sarah kept her. She named her Hope. Because that's what you gave me, Sarah told the tiny puppy. Hope that I could save a life. Hope that I wasn't broken. As for Jack, there was never any question. Jack was Sarah's now. And Sarah was Jack's. They had saved each other. The promise lives on. 1 year later, Sarah stood outside her clinic, looking at the new sign above the door. William's Hope Animal Hospital. In memory of Sergeant William Chen and all who serve. Sarah had used her savings and a bank loan to expand the clinic. She now had 2 exam rooms instead of 1, a full surgical suite, and a new program, free veterinary care for any veteran's pet. She had partnered with the Portland, Virginia. Any veteran could bring their pet to William's Hope for treatment, no questions asked, no payment required. Sarah funded it through donations, fundraisers, and her own money. It wasn't always easy. Some months she barely broke even. But it was worth it. Every time a veteran walked through her door with a scared rescue dog, Sarah saw William and Jack. She also started a service dog training program. Jack, despite his age, became a therapy dog. He visited the VA hospital twice a week. Veterans who were struggling with PTSD would sit with Jack, pet him, talk to him. Jack would listen, his eyes calm and knowing. That dog understands, one veteran told Sarah. He's been through it too. Hope, now a year old and healthy, was in training to become a service dog herself. She was smart, gentle, eager to learn. Eventually, she would be placed with a veteran who needed her. Just like William needed Jack. Inside the clinic, on the wall behind the reception desk, hung a large framed photograph. It showed young William in his army uniform, smiling, holding puppy Jack. Beside it was another photo, old Jack, gray around the muzzle, surrounded by 4 puppies. And beneath both photos a brass plaque. A promise kept is love's greatest act. Thank you, William. Thank you, Jack. Thank you, Daisy. Your love lives on. Sarah sat at her desk, finishing paperwork. Jack lay at her feet, gray-muzzled now, moving slower, but still alert. Hope was curled up beside him. The door opened. A young veteran walked in, nervous, holding a referral from the Virginia. Hi, I heard you help veterans' pets for free. Sarah smiled warmly. Yes, we do. What's your name? Danny. And this is Scout. He gestured to a small, anxious-looking terrier mix. Sarah knelt down and let Scout sniff her hand. Hello, Scout. You're safe here. She looked up at Danny. Thank you for your service. Danny's eyes welled up. Thank you, Mom. I don't have much money right now. I'm between jobs and Scout needs his shots, and... It's okay, Sarah interrupted gently. That's what we're here for. Let's take care of Scout. As Sarah examined Scout, Jack walked over and sat beside Danny. Danny looked down at Jack. Hey, buddy. Jack leaned against Danny's leg. Danny's entire body relaxed. I haven't felt this calm in months. Sarah watched, her heart full. This was William's legacy. This was Jack's promise, fulfilled and multiplied. This was love, passed from one soul to another, across time and loss and pain. Outside, the Oregon rain fell softly. But inside, there was warmth. There was hope. There was family. And most importantly, there were promises being kept. Thank you for listening to this story.